Hey guys, today we're going to talk about necessity number 3, which is the killer resume. Now this is a topic I love. I really like to talk about resumes and how to get a great resume. So we're going to do two things in this video. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the topic just in general and how to figure out what a good resume is. And secondly, I'm going to debunk some myths. So I'm going to go through some of the common myths that are taught to us about resumes and how to fix it. Okay? So let's dive right in. First, let's talk about how do you know a good resume? Now, I've seen a lot of people write about this, and it's all over the web. This person says this is a great resume, this person says this is a great resume, and there's all kinds of different things. Now, let me talk to you about the reason why the recommendations I'm giving are going to be good recommendations. Every one of the 8 jobs I've landed have been in the past 5 years, which is during a bad economy, and I don't have this amazing resume. I didn't go to Harvard. I wasn't a Navy SEAL for 25 years. I don't have these things on my resume that people are like, oh, that's going to get you a job. I have a standard college degree. Okay, I did 1 year of grad school, and then I jumped into the sales force. And then everything I've learned from there, I've learned from experience. So I don't really have that amazing of a resume. So if you don't either, you don't need to be worried, okay? I've still had no problems landing a job. But I want to tell you that because the information I'm giving you, I know it works because I've done it. I have the personal experience of using it, and it's what's worked for me, so that's why I'm going to share it with you, because I know it's going to work for you too, okay? So that's some of the basic details. That's why I recommend you go with these ideas. But first, let's talk about some common myths in relation to resumes, okay? Now, myth number 1 is that your resume is not that important. And that is absolutely, completely false, okay? Let me tell you why. Most recruiters and most hiring managers that you're going to see or not see, 90% of them, the only thing they're ever going to see of you is your resume. They're not going to know about your family history. They're not going to know anything about you. They're only going to see your resume. So that resume has to be a good picture of who you are, what you've done, and what you'll be able to do again in the future. Okay, so it's really, really important. Make sure your grammar is good. Make sure your spelling is good. Make sure that graphically it's laid out right. The formatting is good. That's really, really important. Okay, so make sure the thing is really well done. If you're not the best at that, have someone that you know, like an English teacher or mom or a dad or a brother or sister that's really good at those sort of things. Have them proofread it and check your resume to make sure everything is on that needs to be on. Okay, so that's the first thing. Secondly, a lot of people come to me and say, Tim, I was always told a resume should be 1 page long. Okay, absolutely false. Horrible idea. Let me explain why. I'm going to give you an idea. I'm going to give you a blind date tomorrow. Okay, so your blind date's going to show up. She's going to pick you up. You're going to go on one blind date, and at the end of the date, I want you to marry the girl. Okay, sound like a great idea? Probably not. Why? You don't know if she's an axe murderer. You don't know if she sacrifices cats in her backyard every Halloween to Mother Nature. She might be a psycho. Not a good idea. The other thing, too, is that there's a lot you don't know about her. She may not be crazy, but she just might not be a good fit for you. Why is that? You don't know anything about her. Okay? Marrying someone on a first date is a horrible idea, especially a blind date, right? When you send a recruiter a 1-page resume, you're forcing them to do the same thing. You're sending them what can only fit in a 1-page document, which is not that much. You can fit some, but not enough. And on that 1 page, they have to decide, will you perfectly fit this position in their company that they are going to spend $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year to pay you, which is a lot of money, and they want to make sure you're going to really make their company better. So it's a big decision, it's a big commitment. If they offer you that job, they are willing to pay you that money, and they are expecting that you're going to do the work. So I don't want you to send them 1-page resumes. My resume is about 4 pages long, almost 5 pages. Now, why is it so long? My goal is for that recruiter to get a really good picture of who I am from high school till now, okay, which is a long period of time, because I want them to have no question about who I am when they have me for that interview, okay? That's like taking a blind date, at least 4 or 5 or 6 more dates before you marry them, so it's a little bit better, right? So that's the goal. Have a longer, don't have this short as possible, really tiny resume. Make it long, make it good. The other thing that's going to help you do is when someone is, in the recruiting position, they get 20 or 30 1-page resumes, and they get one from you that's 4 or 5 pages long. It gives a lot of detail. You get a leg up on every other applicant because they're going to have a much better picture of you. They're going to be much more interested in finding out more about you in the interview. Okay, let's talk about the next one. Number 3, a lot of people say that your resume needs to be a plain Word document, just cut and dry, black and white. Here it is. Okay, totally false. Not true. Let me tell you why. It's good to include a plain Word document. If you have a Mac, use Pages. If you have a computer that is PC or a Mac that has Word, come up with a plain standard Word document that's got black and white writing, good formatting. Don't go smaller than 10-point font. Keep it pretty nice. But get a basic resume. But you're allowed to think outside the plain resume. Okay. Here's a couple ideas for you. Number one, make a video resume. If you're going to apply to a startup, Silicon Valley kind of type, it's a younger company, something like a Flickr or a Google, a Yahoo, something that's going to be much more along the lines of a startup or a web-based company. You want to think outside the box a little bit. You want to do something a little bit different. Using YouTube to record a video of your resume might be really good. Now, one disclaimer I will make: a lot of companies, they do get some video resumes, but they also want to see a paper resume. Depends on the recruiter. The recruiter may or may not want to see one or the other, so send both. That way you're safe. Okay. Here's some other ideas. If you've heard of Prezi or Keynote, make a Prezi and a Keynote presentation of your resume, and then go ahead and make a video of that to put into YouTube, so the recruiter can just watch your Keynote or Prezi presentation right there. That way they don't have to have Keynote or Prezi downloaded to watch it, which if they might have to, then if the video doesn't work, then they're going to go ahead and just delete your file. You're never going to get a chance. So that's another idea for you. Another idea too is what you could look to do is to make a normal Word document, but to have it graphically designed. So to hire a graphic designer or someone who can spruce it up for you a bit, who can add some color to the pages, who can add some photos, who can maybe even do something more of like a repertoire of your work as opposed to just a resume. So you can spice it up a little bit. So there's a few different ideas there. If you check out my ebook, I actually go into a lot of details as to what you can do with those different types of ideas with resumes that can help you stand out a little bit. In terms of other myths and other ideas, there's a lot more out there. We're out of time for this video now, but if you look at the link below, www.thecareertutors.com, in my ebook, it's called How to Get Hired in 11 Days, I go through these myths, I go through examples of resumes, and actually in that book I include my own personal resume with all the details in it and exactly what resume I've used. I also talk about one of my secrets, which is modifying your resume for every job you apply to. Okay, that's a secret that you need to know about. It's very important how to do, but I discuss it in my book. So jump on there, grab a copy. Also, one thing too, a few of you might be wondering, this is the third necessity. Where's necessity number 2? Well, necessity number 2 actually piggybacks a lot off of necessity number 1, and that perfect website I told you to find jobs on. I disclose that in my ebook. Video number 2 is actually a free gift that we email to you when you purchase the ebook that explains and describes exactly what I talk about in that chapter, but if you'd rather see a video on it, that's good too. So if you purchase the ebook, we'll send that to you via email. That's where that video is. Thanks so much for watching. Right here on our channel, click subscribe. That way we'll know if people are watching these to get an idea of how many more we should create. So jump on there, hit subscribe, and then the next thing is go ahead and leave some comments at the bottom. If there are specific topics that are outside of those 11 necessities, or even inside those 11 that you want me to cover in more detail, hey Tim, I have a question about this kind of interview, or hey, can you do a video about this or that? Leave a comment at the bottom and just give us some feedback there. We'd love to make one of those videos and we can describe more of that as well. And remember, you are closer to being hired than you think.